Warning. The following podcast contains the name of an advertising agency's name repeatedly mispronounced by Hugh. Hugh now knows it is not pronounced Whedon, but Wyden and Kennedy. We apologize if this affects your listening pleasure, and promise it will not happen again.
Hello, mate.
Hello, mate.
We're
How
back.
are you? We're back.
We're back.
You're looking very tanned.
Yeah, I've been playing a bit of golf. I'm not gonna lie.
Fucking hell, mate.
It was lovely last week.
Retirement is suiting you.
One of the days I was out in shorts.
Are you going to get us a sponsor or not?
I mean, I'm
this
trying.
is the last session, right?
Yeah, I know. I've sent it out to a few people.
Yeah.
You know who you are if you're listening.
Yeah. Have you got?
This is how good we are. We're so good that I'm playing golf.
Are we looking at, busking outside Soho Radio for some money soon?
No, I think
we'll be all right.
I think the guys at Soho Radio here are good for it. They know that one day.
We love you, Soho.
One day we'll pay the bills.
Right. So today we have Hermeti Balarin.
Yes.
Super excited.
How long have I been waiting for this?
About
81 episodes.
Shamefully, Anna, his wife, came on. Actually, we can't say all too much because this is all part of the podcast. So,
it is.
Yeah, Hermeti's coming. I sense he's on his way. I just got a text saying...
Just got a text saying he's on Berwick Street.
Yeah, he's on the outside. So one of us I'll go and get him.
You go get him.
All right. But we're very excited. We're going to talk about Mother. And actually, it's going to be a very themed episode. So it's going to be about sort of minimalist sort of approach to billboards and,
nice.
The trend at the moment. And
definitely on trend. Everyone's
chatting
about it or has an opinion on it. Certainly in the out-of-home industry or the out-of-home media professionals are talking about how amazing it is for the medium.
Yeah. Okay. Off we go.
Let's go.
When he claps, just makes you feel uncomfortable, right? Anyway, Hermeti Balarin.
It's because our sound engineer can see the spike on the thing, right?
It's visual.
Yeah.
Give him a visual cue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you just ruined the intro now.
It's good. I can just.
No, we're keeping this in.
I'm rolling on. Hermeti Balarin, CCO at Whedon and Kennedy, London. Welcome to Behind the Billboard. Thank you for coming in today. We've been talking about this, so it is a bit of a themed episode where we're going to talk about kind of minimalist approach to billboards and lack of logos and fucking around with brand assets. This is wholly Hermeti's idea, so thank you for that. We wanted you to come on anyway, but I think this is a really good way to do it because obviously you've done a lot of work like this and you wrote a brilliant article the other day all about it in the drum. Anyway, before we do any more, actually, can you say hello?
Hello.
Just to prove that you're here.
Thank you for having me. I am here indeed. Although I'm just gonna say that it was outside Berwick Street, and we're actually in Broadwick Street. So I was there for 5 minutes looking at this weird door. So thank God.
Do you think we'd lured you somewhere to kidnap you? And
I was thinking this is not what I was expecting.
Well, it was like a kind of bit of an alternative episode.
I've listened to their episodes. It sounds like they're in a really nice place. Why are they luring me above this news
dungeon? Dungeon in Soho. Anyway, right. So we better get some Hermeti facts out there. So, sorry, we're going to have to start this one. Hermeti Balarin is married to Ana Balarin. And Ana, as we've just said, was one of our early guests, guest number 7, which makes the Balarins our first ever married couple on the show. So that's a first.
Fantastic.
Fucking get in. So please say...
It was only 5 years later. It was only, 81 episodes and
I'm
5
not going
years
to take
later that we got
offense in
you.
this.
Yeah, no,
I'm actually at peace with this.
Yeah.
I've already spent some time processing
In fairness to Anna, she said, you have to get Hermeti on. You have to get Hermeti on. We're like, yeah, we will. So I'm glad it's now.
81 episodes later.
81 episodes and a whole new path of your career later as well, which is great. So
which means that the podcast is very successful too.
Exactly.
But do you have this expression, was it like, we say ladies first? Do you
absolutely,
have that?
So, absolutely.
I think that's a nice touch. A bit more of a serious one here. The Ballarins started out as interns at Mother before rising to partners just for over a decade. And under their leadership, Mother was named International Agency of the Year twice by Ad Age and Agency of the Year at Campaign, pretty much thanks to some incredible, iconic, award-winning work you did or oversaw for Stella, IKEA, Money Supermarket, KFC, Boots, and on and on. Just amazing set of work. Little known fact, or maybe marginal little known fact, Hermeti is an exec producer on 2 brilliant short films, The Good Fight and Careful How You Go. which, like his advertising work, has won many awards all over the world and means hopefully that you're mates with Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
I mean, mates is a very strong word, but I've worked with her.
Okay, so if you could say hello to her from us as well.
Yeah,
next time.
She's starred in one of the short films that we did. She came in via, the director, and it was a brilliant experience. So the director of that short film is now married to one of the creatives that worked with us at Mother at the time. She's Emerald Fennell.
Oh, yeah, I know.
So we were behind the directorial debut for Emerald Fennell.
It's yours.
So I'm going to etch this somewhere because it is proud and is the one that you mentioned, Careful How You Go, ended up in Sundance official selection.
Wow.
I was this is big.
How do you, I know we're going to talk about billboards, but very quickly, how do you end up
making
that?
Maybe I'm biased because I've done a few. And in fact, we launched a new short film a couple of days ago.
Oh, wow. Cool.
And I think it's so close. So many people inside creative departments have those other ideas for things that sometimes you can't marry up with brands and get funding from brands or for briefs. I just keep sniffing around and seeing what really hits us. And then I convinced the agency to pay for it, or to house the edits, or to call in favors.
Great.
So I didn't understand what an exec producer was, even though I worked with many throughout my career, until I started making phone calls and asking for favors. And people go yeah, we can fit it at the back of this session. We can do that. And then boom, off you go.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And did you always want to make films as part of your journey?
I didn't know I wanted to make those, but I certainly we love a good script when we see one. Yeah. And those were just happened to not be for brands. But, we read so many of them. And when I read, Careful How You Go, it was so brilliant. It was written by Emerald as well. So you couldn't help but fall in love with the thing. So it's I need to find a way to make it. We film things. We know how to put these things together. Let's get a producer to give us a figure, and then I have to go to my FD and go please,
have some money. Yeah.
Can I have some money?
So that was through Mother, but then this latest one, is that through
Widen? Yeah. So this is through Widen. So I'm continuing to do my thing. And
it's good if you can make it work. Right?
Yeah,
that's the whole point.
Brilliant. Yeah.
So
it's not broke.
I was going to say, how are you? But that's a bit of an insight. But I suppose, how are you on the official work? How is life?
Yeah, life is
busy.
Is amazingly busy at the minute. We've been saying it's the busiest start of the year that we've ever had, which is kind of insane because we had some really crazy starts of the year. But we launched a campaign a week, almost every week in the first couple of months. And now we're breathing lots of production. So it's very heavy, very fulfilled. And obviously here, had the pleasure of making more out of home, which I adore.
Yeah. Now we're very pleased to have you. So one of our regular features is
the billboard at the end of my street. So hopefully you've got a great one for us today.
So yeah, I joked a little bit with you guys beforehand. I'm not only 81 episodes after Ana, but I'm not even the second Brazilian. So I'm the third. I heard Felipe's brilliant episode, and BBH is firing on all cylinders. I'm a big fan of a lot of the stuff they're doing. So many great out of home. But I saw him bringing his giant blueberry. So I'm how crazy is something? So when I take the scenic route, which is Hampstead, leafy neighborhood, I end up in the overground by the Heath. And I have the pleasure of seeing this thing that we've worked on many, many years ago for a very worthy cause. And it was a brilliant, difficult brief. And it's there still. It was a campaign for Samaritans.
Samaritans, that's right.
So it's obviously quite emotional because it's written by men, because this campaign was specifically targeting men, which suffered at the hands of depression, and then maybe ending up with really not happy ends, and they get in touch with Samaritans. So we got some of these people that experienced this transformative interaction to write down a few kind of words of wisdom. We tried to be as minimalist in our involvement as possible, just give space to these beautiful handwritten messages. And the media buy is very clever. At the very end of train stations, which is very dark, but it's the moment where people are contemplating the worst. So it's still there. many years later.
6 years.
Yeah, so I don't know if this is like a leftover forgotten thing because it's behind a pillar.
I would imagine it'll be one of those sites that, like you said, it's a remote part of the platform, and most brands, when they're doing the media buying, when looking for the middle, or they're not necessarily looking for that. So I would imagine the media owners have donated that space to the charity to use.
So this one, like I've updated this deck, so you see later, like this one is actually like the press image, but I have one in the flesh of the blue poster at the end of the thing, which I put it in here, so you have that image as well.
That's great.
So that's the one.
So you raised on Felipe by
I said,
I'm saving lives, and you're out there selling blueberries, guys.
You're selling blueberries, so let's see.
Yeah, no, but it's it's good actually. It's good. That's a really interesting story about. Was it left up, or have they done a thing? I'd like to hope and think that
I'm pretty sure that as part of National Rail's holding, and obviously the media owners who sell it on their behalf, they donate a fair amount of space to mental health charities because, the railways don't want people jumping in front of trains either, right?
And they want the work to be there as well. So yeah. So it's still there, and we're happy to see it there. Maybe helping people still like many years later.
That's good. That's really good. And I mean, just to read a couple of them out, it's okay not to be okay. These are handwritten by the people who have suffered or are suffering. Don't think you have no voice, Darren. So it is minimal, isn't it? It is very much of the theme, what we're trying to do today. That there's obviously a logo there, but it's very stripped back.
Absolutely.
I love that. Okay.
And our second regular segment is My First Billboard. Do you remember that? And we use Billboard, but it could be a poster, or I know we talked about this beforehand, but it could be anything. What have you got for us in your first?
I mean, I just brought you something very unique. This is not the bit of the campaign that I was most proud of. This is very decent out of home, but this campaign was quite very early on in our career, and it's for Oasis, like the juice drink from Coca-Cola. And when we got involved and got briefed, we're pretty much like a placement team still. And this strategy was sold already. So year 2 of a very provocative strategy called For People Who Don't Like Water. So I couldn't quite believe, Mother, I'm working on this brief, I'm selling juice, and I'm actually attacking the healthy option. I'm like, is this some sort of like a prank? But no, it's very smart, maneuvering. And we created this bizarre character that is called Cactus Kid. And we shot this amazing, epic kind of series of films in the Mexican desert for many days. And it's essentially this guy, this girl fell in love with this guy, basically. And they both love Oasis, and they're running from her mom and from the police for whatever reason. So it's a homage to Badlands. Pretty crazy. And on this poster, our new hero is drinking, swigging, like taking a big swig from like this Oasis bottle against this desert. And it says it's drunk by Cactus Kid, Oasis, for people who don't like water. So it was like an intention to create this anti-hero. The campaign had stuff like mini websites. It was very sophisticated looking back. Like we were very lucky. So it had a big media buy for out of home. Some of these posters, like the phone booths that were a lot of media that day got stolen. Right. Because we created this bit that like your mom's not gonna like him, but you're gonna love him.
Okay.
And the guys will want to be him.
Yeah.
So it was perfect because it played out in real life as we envisaged. So we had sites that we created as mini sites called Mothers Against Cactus Kid. And then we had a hunt that you could find him on Google Maps. It was like crazy. And then in the end, sadly, the actress that played the main role got 11 complaints to the SA. They upheld the complaints, and the first episode was banned because she looked underage and she was eloping with him. So we were like, "Oh my God, this is a disaster!" And we got back into the agency. One of our bosses just came and gave us a hug, and we said, "Like, what's happening?" He says, "Like, now you're gonna taste what real fame tastes like, controversy." So I put it here, but there's like comic strips and like newspapers. There's like articles galore, and the results were insane.
Yeah.
It's like every metric went up, sales went up, and looking back at it, it's like, I think it's 2008.
Wow.
So I'm like, okay.
You've made it when sort of, I don't mean this in a bad way, but like the kind of real world are starting to talk about your thing
when your ads are in the newspapers. Not newspaper ads.
Yeah.
When your ads are in the
and also when
newspapers,
people are doing cartoons based on, so you're entering culture, right?
It was like a real, probably the first taste of culturally provocative work. And we got such a high.
Yeah, it's great.
But funnily enough, Coca-Cola had strategic outdoor network. I think they still have. So they had first dibs on the
long-term holdings.
Loads of really interesting sites. One of them happened to be this 96 sheet by the end of the road of Mother.
Right.
So pretty much like on the way to work, you see your work. So it better be good.
Yeah.
Because if it's a lame out of home, your friends are going to be.
I hate to say this, your wife's already told us this. Episode 7, 5 years ago.
So we've been traumatized by it, as you can see. Because
do you know what though? It's one of the things that's come up a lot when we talk about in this segment of the show being proud of your work, and whether it's your first one or your last one, it doesn't matter. But the ability to put stuff out there that's good, it's actually a really smart thing for that media placement, because it's right next to the agency that's creating it. So if you're going to go, oh, well, it's there for everyone to see, it better be good.
It's exactly that. It was like very personal, and it worked a treat.
Do you think Robert does it on purpose with all the clients going, I just want to sell you this poster outside the creative department? So there's never, you can't hide from the fucking thing, can you? That's the beauty of billboards. I was telling
exactly that.
Yeah.
Just before we move on from this, so just for anyone who hasn't listened to episode 7, I do urge you to go back and listen to it after you've listened to Hermeti.
Absolutely. It would be way smarter than my answers.
No, but just for the listeners, so you said it's you and Anna.
Yeah, so
as
Anna
a creative pair from the start.
Yeah, so Anna and I, very quickly recap on that. I came to the UK a little earlier. I was already in advertising. Anna was a physio, and somehow convinced her to kind of like jump the fence, come to the dark side, the dark arts of like marketing, and then she accepted it. And so most of our work that is worth anything or note is when Anna joined the band.
So, I'm sure that's not true.
So it's like this is our work. Like, so a lot of everything that is here is both of ours.
It's a brilliant. I mean, I just love the logic about, for people who don't like water, cactus kid. Yeah, I mean, God, it's great. I love warped logic. So
I was also in a time where the words integrated campaign hadn't really been invented yet. This is a 360 campaign, really, with microsites and people and PR and like there's everything working together as a.
It's crazy because like someone from the media company took the mic in one of these big meetings, and when the media gets excited by the idea and actually strategically thinks about it, is amazing. So they presented everything like together and said like, you should go deep, Easter eggs, passions for the hardcore fans that want to go deeper and deeper and hunt him down and get £1,000 for finding the car.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe and it made so much sense. And, it worked a treat because the campaign continued for another year.
Can I ask, so quickly, Rubber Duck Zilla.
So a year later, so we sold it on the same go. That's why I put it here. So believe it or not, we hit this lucky like eureka moment of trying to answer this brief on it's very, very idyllic kind of background story. We always walk around the beach in Brazil when we go for Christmas. We're going like, what do we push on? We say like, that Oasis thing is a great brief, but I think you can go further.
Right.
Let's go as crazy as we've ever been and see what lands. So we came back with Cactus Kid, which is year 2, but our first. Yeah. And then on the same creative presentation, sold year 3. RDZ, Rubber Duck Zilla, which is another gigantic, stupid, bizarre character that is, whatever height he is, hates water too. And it became another manga, kind of like comic books style poster that went into that strategic outdoor network at the end of the street. So we had 2 hits in one brand.
That's great.
It's brilliant. I remember Duckzilla just phenomenal, classic sort of mother. So we are now going to talk about the work, and we're going to focus on campaigns such as KFC and Heinz that have an absence of logos and are very playful with the brand assets. So as we mentioned at the top, it's becoming a bit of a trend in a good way, and we love it on the show. This even less is even more is a big thing we're really into. Just strip stuff away. Less is more, even more. Sorry. And Heg always used to say, what's it doing? If you don't need it, get it off. So we've admired the BA Windows work, Kellogg's The Rooster, Macca's Milkshake, Tesco. There's loads of them. But in your piece in the Drum, you say it's a thing, but it's sort of not a thing. It's always been around. Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, and obviously I'm biased because I'm personally involved in this latest trend. And there was a moment when I'm reading some articles and some responses on LinkedIn, because coincidentally some of this came out very quick succession. So we had Kellogg's. We had another Tesco. I think the bags came straight after, and then we had a few things that and the Heinz stuff came, and then we're like a lot of people saying like, "Oh, this is really cool." So majority of the responses were really favorable. It was amazingly heartwarming. Again, one of those that you go, "Oh, I think real people are going to love it," but our industry is dissecting it and the debate is mostly incredible. But there's a bit there that is bothering me, and I don't know what it is. And people are saying it's really wild stories about, I think all of these are jumping on the bandwagon of that British Airways Windows work last year. I'm like, wow, okay, hang on a second. This is crazy take. Let me try and jump in. And I love that work, but I don't think any of these brilliant people in the scattered places around London are looking at that piece, learning something, and then very quickly selling something. I just don't think that's true. It wasn't true in our case. So I said well, this is not new, obviously. Even I have done a few things that didn't have logos in them. So if I have done them a few years ago, obviously this is not true. So let me try and formulate a more intelligent point of view here. And I said, well, there's a lot of this kind of minimalist, reductionist, strip it back, a style of, I would say print, but sometimes out of home in Brazil. So it's a bit of my school, visual. You don't have the benefit of saying much. So that's one side, which I think this has been happening for a long time. And then UK, when I moved here 2 decades ago, just studying the history of the stuff, there's so many phenomenal examples. And one that actually helped me prove the point the best was Silk Cut, because it's very old, but it's brilliant. Yes, there were restrictions there and reasons why they had to play the way they did, but still, they're just works of art. And I think that's maybe the point that I was trying to make is minimalist, key brand assets, playful, smart, intelligent, witty, reductionist, been around forever. Yeah. But luckily, it's now got a revival. So it feels like this burst of energy.
And I think, you have to have been down you have to be a very big brand with a very bold brand or service to be able to play on the iconography, with, let's say, Heinz, with the beans. If, there is decades and decades of great advertising, great copy lines that, it has to be Heinz, that's in our vocabulary, that the imagery of beans, if anyone sees a plate of beans, they're going to go, it's Heinz beans, right? So you're relying on all of that cognitive behavior from memory to be able to do this, and it allows you to go down that route, right? So it's the same with Silk Cut. Yes, they couldn't show their logo, but it's an iconic piece of artwork that you can prick that.
You're benefiting from a brand that believes in the investment of advertising in a way. Decades. But then you still got to do it, though. You have to do it. Still got to make great.
This is a great point. This is big brand flex. This is a cherry on top of the cake of sometimes years, sometimes decades of consistency. This is a very important point. There's so many brilliant scientists, marketing people that have dissected key brand assets, how long it takes to build them, when do they start to register, when do they start to work on their own. So yeah, absolutely. a small brand or a new brand that has just come out cannot play there.
Yeah, it's very hard.
So let's say you're a direct-to-consumer mattress brand. This is a good example, right? Is that you don't have the brand heritage to play with to do that. And I remember this time last year, a data business came to us at the agency and asked us to they want to spec savers, in inverted commas. Well, you don't have 25 years of that line to play with that allows you to be some AI data business that people were going to know off the bat. You've got to build that.
Yeah.
You're going to have to spend 25 years building that before you can be known for it.
Completely, and I think that's why, I think quite a lot of big brands end up realizing that they can mess with a few of the rules that they created because they've invested enough time and money in public spaces. Let's be honest, more often than not, this has to flex big for it to register enough for it to be a thing that you can play with later on and remove and people still know, which is...
Because it has a cultural relevance, Heinz, in this country.
You open your cupboard every day
exactly.
and you interact with this brand.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you're saying it or not loudly, that tagline's there.
Yeah.
You know it, and you are making that same choice over and over and over again. So... Tell
us about this. So we're going to go specific on this campaign, which
it has to be.
It has to be. So it's one of my favourites. It's got the beans there, and it has to be toast, which is it's just a brilliant thing. You go, oh, and then you go, oh yeah, of course it's. I know what that is. And then there's lots of them. I'm sure our listeners know, but it has to be fries with the ketchup. It has to be chips with mayonnaise. Has to be bread with a tomato soup. So how did it start? Did you go, and I know you didn't do this, but I'm just going to be facetious. Did you go, right, we're going to do something with no logo? You didn't do that. But how did you get to a place where you go, oh, fuck it. Was it on there? Did it fall off? How did this come around?
So... Funnily enough, this has been in the making for a little while.
Okay,
so even timing wise, it's impossible for some of the stories. So it's been shot last year. It was there waiting for the right moment. So it's virtually impossible for this to have happened. But anyway, the brief here is very, very unique. And although I think there's lots of connective tissue between a lot of the work that we're doing here. There's minimalist, they're reductionist. Again, I think they're more is the artistic intent or the craft that unites them more than the absence of logo.
Right.
I think more, to me, they obviously play with key brand assets. Some of them have partial logos, some of them have small logos in the corner. But I think all of them are trying to play with some memory structure. They're trying to tickle some part of your brain that is not easy to get to. There's got to be some road there.
Yeah.
And then the brand is the only one that can go there and play, which is a very big move and is bold and it gathers attention. In this case, the brief was about reasserting the quality and the unique taste of these products. They are very unique. They're built over years. Again, you've grown used to recognizing them and even further to pairing them.
Right.
So you demand that it's a certain matchup that only this kind of hero products from Heinz will do when you really want the best version of it. So beans on toast, it has to be Heinz. So the first time I saw this on the creative review internally, it was just the big macro of the ketchup, and you had just the word fries with the typeface, so it's straight.
Yeah.
So it was already a lightning strike moment. You go ooh, that's really, really interesting. It works. And I see exactly what you're doing. So you're making me think of this thing.
Fries, and it was on the...
So it's straight, just with
Straight
the typography.
up fries,
right in the middle, nothing else. And
in the Heinz font.
In the Heinz font. So I'm going ooh, this is scratching something really interesting. But we're biased. We work on the brand. Yeah. Obviously, we would say works.
Yeah.
So let's be harder on ourselves and let's kind of brainstorm here a little bit. So does it work on the other products? Yes, it does. So beans, toast, and then we're almost at the end of that meeting going we're doing live because now you can do Google Slides and everybody's updating it. So we're going oh my God, they're all 5 words. How lucky we are.
Yeah.
And then now let's do something else. Let's curve the word and put the date underneath it and see how much more we get. So we done that in that meeting and he was oh, this is way cooler. But it's not just about curving them. It's actually like you had to stretch them because the logo is not just a straight font on a curve. So there's these nerdy details that are so ingrained in our memories. We don't know, but they're there. So when we curved that, we said like, oof, this went from maybe 50-50 to now 70-30. And now let's go the tagline, guys. Why are we not putting the tagline? Because if we don't strengthen this, we might be in a silly discussion where we have to put a pack shot at the bottom.
Yeah.
And then the whole thing is dead. So let's push as far as we can to just be as bulletproof as possible.
That's amazing.
And the tagline adds yet another.
So it was never presented to client with just the one word. It was presented with it has to be.
If it was presented, I don't think it was, but it was just a part of a much larger presentation as one of a thing that was like about pairings. And then this was actually like, oh, we've been told to talk about taste. And taste is a brief that is recurrent, as you can imagine. Like it just pops up again and again. And I would say like being harsh is impossible. Like you can't make someone taste a poster unless it's got something to lick. But I think we proved ourselves a little bit wrong in this one because we're going like, oh, if I show a picture of a burger or a bowl of fries, sure, I can make people think about that taste, but tasting it is a step too far. So obviously we didn't achieve taste, but there's something weird that happened here. By making you think of the toast that is not there, I think the viewer had to go a little bit further inside their brain.
They're on the journey, right? Yeah.
So I think we got closer to taste
It's
than
the same
ever
with
before.
the ketchup. No fries, just the ketchup.
But do you remember the Mad Men thing where they had the burger and it goes past the Heinz?
Past the Heinz.
But it does it the other way round, doesn't it?
Does.
Whereas, sort of like when you were talking and I was thinking, oh yeah. And then they did it for real in the real world. So it's all in the same play space, but there's something about this. I remember seeing it and it feels effortless. And you go, oh yeah, cool. But then, the journey you've just talked about, was the brief from them about pairing or was that from you?
So I think
that's really interesting.
It was
that's the idea.
Yeah, I think the brief didn't have the pairing in it. It was more about the taste of the product. But the products don't exist in isolation, right?
Right. Yeah. No one has beans on their own.
No,
it's a condiment.
And I think like that, it was like it led to this iconic pairings. And the most iconic, obviously, is the one that is most British, very, very familiar to everyone. Like I feed my son like this almost every other morning. Like, so it's part of the...
So I got a quick question. No, just getting into the sort of detail, right? So on ketchup, fries, mayonnaise, chips.
Yeah, I mean, we angered a lot of people on this, So I'm going, guys, we need to redeem ourselves from this because we made a very big move here. I think half of the people are going to disagree with us. Fries is way more a mayo thing and chips with ketchup, surely. So I'm going, I think we need to convince the client to run this two side by side with a voting mechanism. So here's my pitch to my client. Funny. So if you're listening, I'm pitching to you guys.
That's a really good idea.
Tiago, so, we should do this again.
So my mum, bless her, she's not around anymore, but she was from Belgium. And when we were kids, so we'd have the ketchup and then she'd bring the mayonnaise. And this was like this is old. And we're going, what? She goes, no, in Belgium, this is what you do. And it was like, so we always used to then mix the mayonnaise and the ketchup to get that kind of
that pink sauce.
We called rosé sauce in Brazil.
Rosé
sauce. If you want to be sophisticated.
Rosé sauce. So this is sort of a request from my wife and me. It has to be bacon on a lake of brown sauce. Are you going to do that one?
I mean, I'm there.
But bacon is ketchup and sausages are brown sauce.
She said, oh my God, look, we're going to have a live debate. We've got no time for this.
Jesus.
So have you got more 5-letter words in the pipeline?
I mean, we stopped at that because the temptation when something goes quite famous, that big, is to kind of like twist it around, do things. And I said to the team, is that like, they actually had this brilliant, really simple idea where we're actually going to do the labels and the packaging. And we're going to replace everything, strip it right back, and then write the word. They're beautiful, but I said to people, please stop. Let the thing
breathe. Yeah.
Let the thing be the thing, and no more like developments because it was a moment in time, and it's so beautifully received.
It's that sweet spot, isn't it? Someone said to me, Steve Henry of How Henry said, someone said, know where to put the tent up. So we do this, not the 10, but like, oh, that bar, we're on holiday, or maybe around the corner, and then you get to the end of the bay and you're going, fucking hell, the one at the front was better. So if you go too far into it, like you say, then you're going, you've lost the magic. And that's a real skill, isn't it, as an ECD or CD to go, it's that spot, because you could have gone with fries, couldn't you? And then not, and then I suppose it's just getting the right bit, isn't it?
I think you hit the nail on the head where the user, the consumer, is on the journey with you. And I think all powerful billboards do that. They kind of evoke a memory, or they take you on an emotional journey, or deliver something far more than just a still, some words, and a pack shot. It's just it's trying to resonate with you in some way.
It's so important, this, because there's a phrase from Dan Wyden which we use a lot. He said, "Move me, dude," no matter what. And there's been many like legends of our industry that have said something similar. Is what they made you feel that matters. Because if you go on this, like, first of all, respect the people that are interacting with you. They're bloody intelligent. They like to be entertained. They like to solve puzzles and riddles. Yeah, has to be bloody fast because they're probably on the way somewhere. Yeah. And if you achieve all of those things, and maybe, again, big brands will have, a bit of an advantage because they have more to play with.
Yeah, longer narrative or longer in the market.
Longer investment on that thing that you're playing with, so you can remove it. People feel like really rewarded for stopping for half a second and looking at your thing. And there's one last thing that I'll unite them all again. They're beautiful. They're beautiful. And out of home, like we have a duty of like, reminding ourselves that we are out and about in the real world, in the public space. So we have, one of my first bosses said, like, look at the graffiti, the good one, and look at the bad out of home. Which one is the visual pollution here? Yeah. So it was a very interesting provocation to go, if we crack this really beautifully, it's as close as we're going to have to kind of some sort of street art, if you see what I mean. So I'm biased, but I love out of home. So I think that all of these examples that we have here that we debated add to them wherever they are.
Our very, very first episode was John Petroulis, who was the jury president when I was on the outdoor jury at Cannes. And one of the first things he did in the jury room, we wrote this a manifesto of 5 bullet points of what great out of home looks like. And one of those points was the duty that we have working in this industry, producing content that goes into the public space, a space that we're not invited into, that we are displaying in. And what that was about is ethically and morally, it should be correct. It shouldn't be harmful to people, but it should also be beautiful. It should beautify an area. It should make sure that it's uplifting the space that it's in. So does it look better with it in or with it out?
It's also like Tut's thing, the theatre, the streets. You should walk down and clap the work. Anyway, so we've got to move on, right?
Let's do it.
Talking of clapping the work, see what I did there? Linking. So we're going to talk about KFC from your time at Mother, and this brilliant campaign where everyone is licking their fingers, and it just says, it's good, and the finger licking is in the middle. So we do recall, we did speak to Anna a bit about this, but we just wanted to come back to it because it's phenomenal. If you ran this today, you'll be like, oh, another one of those campaigns where they're not putting those logos on. You're going, yeah, but this was like over 5 years ago and a fucking pandemic and all that. So tell us a bit about the setup of this, because this beautifully shot, this campaign.
So again, like, very lucky to have a brand that have invested. I think there's one stat there that says that Slogan is one of, if not the most famous. So it's top 5 for sure. So it's finger licking good. Decades of investment, repetition is there. So once again, I don't recall the exact brief, but it obviously to do with taste, deliciousness. And that slogan is there for a reason, right? Like, when you lick your fingers with the crumbs, it means that you loved it so much that you don't want to leave anything behind. So it's very simple. Again, all we had to do here when we started, well, first of all, when we won that pitch and started to look at all the digital or the distinctive brand assets, the key brand assets, I got like really into the science of it. I'm going like, oh my God, this is like a treasure trove of gifts. Like there's a bowl of pies.
They told you the 11 herbs and spices. Please tell me.
So anyway, like there's so many pieces of language, visuals, the kernel and everything. And the slogan is one of them.
Yeah.
And it speaks to the quality. So it was very simple. Again, we really want to make it. But if we had written it at the bottom right corner as a slogan, you immediately lost most of the power of the thing, because the thing that we've been talking about, which is the interaction, fill in the blanks, mini puzzle, it ceases to exist. Then I gave you the whole answer, and yes, is more like fail safe, is fail proof. But it didn't achieve anything. So what did you, or you achieved much less. So what did you really gain by making it less smart?
Yeah.
A few more people, but less deep. And I think, so this was obviously like it would have been talked about back then, but I think correct me if I'm wrong, this was, Anna came here pre-pandemic and this was about to go out. So looking back now, this did go out. Was brilliant. We're just walking around Shoreditch and they happened to have bought some media there. So we were photographing it. I love to go and capture my own stuff. And a lot of the in situs that you see here are my own photos.
Oh, good.
I love to go out and see them in the flesh. And then...
But I think it's important to do that for any creative. You know, go and see the space.
I know we're going to get to the end and we're going to ask you, like, what do you feel? But like, yeah, like I need to see it. It's out and about. So we went and took the photos and we said like, whoa, look at those little cropped logos in the shadow in the corner. Blink and you miss them. It's in situ. It's on packs. There's no like graphic vector logo applied to the thing, and it's there. Like,
and were they okay with that? When I say they, the client, were they on board? Or did you do a long, drawn out justification for it? Or?
They were there. Like they knew the power of the thing. Anyway, so they bought it quite quickly.
It's beautiful. I mean, I think they look like stills from films. You know, like Tarantino. It's fucking amazing. So we need to finish off this segment around COVID. Thank fuck it's not here anymore, everyone. Just say that again. For a brand whose point of view is licking fingers, it must have been absolutely horrendous. But then, obviously, never waste a good crisis is a Churchill quote. Bernbach has used it. Kind of like, so you took them with you and you made it brilliant. The way you treated the chicken crisis, where you wrote "fuck." I remember that's a press ad.
Yeah.
But I thought we include it here. But the way you treated the pandemic. So some of these headlines, caution may cause finger licking, is hilarious. Wash fingers thoroughly before licking. I mean, it was a gift, but you made it the gift. How did you get here? Did you have teams at Mother and you going, right, you're the COVID finger licking team, or was it everyone? How did it work?
So it's insane to look back now and to see how we navigated this thing. But at the time, it was actually like some serious issues. First, it was like that those posters were up. I want to say like the first ones that we just talked about, people actually licking their fingers.
Yeah.
Right about at the time that we're all going like, this pandemic is for real. We can't be licking fingers. So the conclusion was, so those run their course. And then we said, okay, we either shy away from it and completely hide or don't talk about it, which with most people, but not this guys. There was a phrase, I think this came from them, a global brief, which is insane because a lot of the work that we're talking about is UK centric, but this is global. Yeah. So a global team jumped on the phone and said like, everyone is bringing the violin to this part. It's quite sad. We're here for you. All the brands are like sounding very solemn. And this guy said, well, everybody's bringing the violin. We're going to bring the banjo. Because no TV shows are being commissioned, no new things. Yeah. We need to bring entertainment, light relief, which is a role that advertising plays beautifully as well. Yeah. So we're going like, let's go all in. Okay. So we're going to actually suspend your tagline. Yeah. And we're actually going to go against. And we call this whole activity, it was actually like a company move. We're going to pause the world's most famous slogan, and we're going to encourage people to not lick their fingers. So we called it the world's most inappropriate slogan, which was like an amazing little admission of guilt by the clients, obviously consumers in the joke.
Yeah, there's
Everybody
another one here.
saw it. And there's no logos to be seen or
This one
tops of
says,
heads.
lick fingers at your risk, and the asterisk, some thumbs included. I mean, the tone of the work is to die for. We've got to move on because we want to get one more in. KFC, AFC to ZFC, right? So everyone knows these shit chicken shops. Not shit, sorry, they're probably great, but they've been around forever, right? So my thought this morning, I was thinking, so how come they've never done this before? So was that you and Anna going, let's have a go at them? Because they've always been. So why have KFC never embraced them in good or bad? Did they have a reason?
So it was actually very interesting. Post-pitch win, we had a long debate about this is an American brand, but with such a huge presence in the UK. And they had just released a documentary where we got to see like behind the scenes. So our intro into the people behind the brand was very fast because we got to watch an hour-long documentary about what motivations they had. And then we realized this is very British. It's got American heritage, but it's very British. It's in high streets around the country. So let's acknowledge that, right? And then someone came up with this phrase, which was beautiful on the team, said like, welcome to Chicken Town. And I think it was like this beautiful idea of like all of these copycats were actually homage to the OG.
Yeah.
And so instead of like shunning them,
and it's
let's
a very
celebrate.
British thing because across the US, you get they've got other chicken shops. They have the Popeyes chicken, but they don't have NFC, MFC, LFC, and
One-offs. Yeah, exactly. So we're going like, listen, even some of the logos are ridiculously close to.
Are they? By the way, are they real?
I think like loads of them are real. If I don't like my memory doesn't fail me, I can get back to you on this. But a lot of it was like very close to the bone, pun intended.
Because you like you said, it's like what's clever about this is you brought them in and you kind of utilize them to make your point even stronger, rather than going, "Hey, fuck you," and by the way, we're going to do a deal, we're going to do your copyright and yada yada. It's like, hey, we're all into it, but we're the colonel.
We're the daddy. Yeah.
It's the OG because, and then the film had like I think it's something at the end which is an even bigger dig, which says KFC only available at KFC.
That's the line. That's a great line. KFC only available at KFC.
So it was like a bit of a dig, but it's actually like playful because people hate you, the big guy, to pick on the small guy.
Totally.
So it was more like, let's celebrate this cacophony of chicken shops, because there's one thing is like us Brits, and I include myself in it, I've been here for 20 years, adore fried chicken.
Yeah.
So much so that we created hundreds, if not thousands of copycats.
Round by us, there's like, it's really dyslexic because it's not even, they don't go AFC, or they go something PCF or something, but it's red on
Pizzas
white.
and fried chicken.
Yeah, but but they just use the word, so it's like it's even more fucked up because but it all looks like KFC, but they've thought, hey, I tell you what, if we go CF, they'll never get us. Anyway, right. So we're rattling through because we are on a slightly. We're going to not do the breast, I'm afraid.
Okay.
Free to feed. Anna talked about it, but it was. I mean, God, talk about minimalism.
The only detail on that, I took that photo too. So I when the creatives are not going out and taking the photos of the beautiful thing, I get off my ass.
Yeah,
and I go there and do it because I go like, guys, what are you waiting for?
Yeah,
Anyway.
the free to feed thing was it's for me is one of the reasons why we set this show up a bit. It's just one of the greatest bits of outdoor
stories of the breast being stuck in
China.
customs.
Crazy.
And also it's sort of like, you kind of going, sorry, and I was quickly talking about it, you're going, it's the ultimate and going, well, it's, to make it more acceptable to breastfeed in public. I know, let's make some massive ones. I mean, was it that simple?
He was a bit like, some people had cold feet. It says like, are we trivializing the thing? Is this going to end up in the sun? I said, listen, if it does, and he talks about the issue, who cares?
Yeah.
Actually, some versions of this had it actually like dripping with milk. So thank God we had restraint and actually kept it as a beautiful piece of art.
How many breasts did you do?
So this year one, it was just the one. And then we actually like year two, we commissioned many. And then he was like all over Shoreditch because it's the only council in London
that would let you do it.
They'll let you do it.
Did you have to? How does that work then? You have to, because you have to put erect scaffolding, wasn't there? One by
like
Mother.
Security, everything. So it's like a lot of faff.
Okay, we're going to finish now on your favorite billboard, Hermeti.
Yeah. So another proof that this thing about not putting logos or branding, minimalism is not new. One of my favorite, actually not only out of home, but one of my favorite pieces ever, so reductionist, is a PlayStation poster done at TBWA by the genius of Paul Belfort and Nigel Roberts. And obviously they're like ace. And the thing is just kind of like got the icons of the joystick. So the square, the triangle, the circle, and the cross. And they're just like, when you look up close, you don't see, you just think it's a bunch of things. When you step away from it, they're pixels, and they form this really like this terrified, like excited face of someone that is playing PlayStation. So I thought like, oh my God, this is as minimal as it gets, as powerful as it gets, and is a piece of art. It feels like street art more than an art.
We talked briefly before. I always thought slightly under awarded. When Paul came on the show, he talked about how the client, he showed it some really close up, and they just said, "Great, loads of logos, from the stick." And then you stand back 50 yards, and it's something else. So there's so much storytelling and nuance in there. It's
I think
amazing.
there's all of your work we've looked through today. You can see where these things have affected you and influenced your way of seeing the world. And I think that you going back to some of that work, the Heinz work and the KFC work, is that you're allowing the viewer to fill in the gaps if there are gaps. You're allowing them to come on the story and the journey with you, and that while there may be a visual story and with the photographic stuff, or whether it's a graphic journey with the PlayStation thing from Belford, you're not treating the viewers like they're dumb. And I think that's the most important thing. Most people walking around and looking at it, they're intelligent, and you can rely on their intelligence to come along on that story.
Yeah, there was something, I don't know if you said it is in the drum, but you talked about these canvases. They're like play spaces, and you're wanting people to play with you.
For sure.
And I thought that was a really brilliant thing, like Tut's thing about if you get it right, people are like really leaning into it and they love it. And I think, like lots of the work we talked about today is that. I think that surely must be the ambition.
Yeah, like we our Heinz work is also wrapped around some double-decker buses, and they're out and about. So I went to shoot them as well. Someone on TikTok just filmed it and put a soundtrack of this myths to it. If a double-decker bus crashes into us, and the thing just took off. Like it's got more than like 5 million views.
No way.
It's brilliant because you're putting real things into the real world where actual real people are in love or like adoring the interaction that you gave them through an advert. And yesterday I got an email from a colleague that's saying like his 3-year-old is eating the bus like as he goes past. Him and his friend is waiting for it to go past. So I'm going like, I made it. And then just to go back to this PlayStation thing, it just proves the point that awards juries are flawed because looking back on this, if that's not a Grand Prix everywhere, I do not know what is.
Yeah, well, here it's a Grand Prix from us. So thank you for coming in, being so generous.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And
I would have been at Berwick Street until now if you guys hadn't
the news
me.
agents.
Yeah, the news agents. So thank you.
and we had the tips.
I mean, it's obviously like where everything that we've been talking about. So I wrote down uncomplicated. Please don't take the piss. You have like 3-4 seconds.
Yeah.
Immediate. So the same point. People are gonna fly past your thing, grab the attention. So striking. Our Heinz work is macro close-ups shots of food. So it's not really that complicated. So make it beautiful shoot. We spend loads of hours like shooting that thing so it looks delicious, memorable. Play with the structures if you can. Don't make sure that they don't forget it because they're going to be bombarded with stuff. And then I don't even know if it's 7 or 9 or 5 words. Don't go over 7. Like nobody's going to read it. If you put a website, QR, chances of nobody looking at it and actually like not acting and then polluting your own visual are huge. Don't do it.
And that thing you said, Dan said about move me. Yeah, that's pretty good, right?
Please, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Well, he didn't disappoint, did he?
He definitely didn't disappoint.
If he was, I'm pleased he's not in a room because we're just going to shower him now of compliments. But yeah, it was amazing.
No, it's really good. This work is just to die for, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's so simple.
You know what? I think I think the tip that definitely missed out on repeating is go out and see the work. It's, if you're producing work that goes in the real world, go out there and see it, photograph other people's stuff as well.
Yeah.
I think
Dave
it's really
Dyer was
important
like that, Nils. And I think, but it's a real lesson in just craft and, appreciation of what's gone before. And I love the story about how they got to the Heinz work. It's fucking great. It's not complicated. It's big, like you're saying, big macro shots of the fucking food.
You know what? I think that the simple work that's out there at the moment is the hardest stuff to get away, right? I think it's the hardest stuff to craft. I think it relies on a brave marketing team at the brands. It relies on a smart creative team to get the most out of it.
It's that famous quote, this letter would have been shorter if I had more time. It does take the time to get to the brevity, and then when it looks easy, you go, oh, that Heinz stuff's quite good. Yeah, it's easy anyway. Yeah, big shot of beans. And you're going, fuck, imagine how hard it is to get to that. So
I was talking to someone, I can't remember who it was. It was a family member who has something against modern art.
Right.
And she said, well, I could do that. And I said, but you didn't. And that's the biggest thing. When it comes to those things, and you go, well, I could make an advert like that. Yeah, but you didn't.
Yeah,
and someone else did. So it's...
off you go, try it. But no, it was great. And it was worth the wait, wasn't it?
Very worth the wait. So follow us on socials. If you're keen to get some of that excess cash out of your pocket, then come and sponsor us. Come on. And
but
we'll
can I just say
there.
that's your job at the moment? I keep texting
I've got a golf handicap to get down.
Oh God!
I told you that.
I'm working at Adam and Eve. I'm running a mattress brand.
I know, and you're
I'm doing all
keeping
these
us
things.
afloat.
Right. Anyway,
So Adrian's just told us to get the fuck out of the studio. By the way.
Bye.
Bye.